Love the Road Games poster behind you, by the way.
Oh,
Absolutely
sweet.
underseen and under recognized.
Yeah,
Yeah,
beautiful
I mean,
poster.
Mouse really is. It's an amazing. As you, I mean, I like a poster here and there, but but yeah, it caught my eye immediately. And also, I want to say it's funny we're having this conversation. In fact, we should do the kickoff real quick. Hello, fiends, friends, and familiars. This is Matt Orozco from Macabre Daily, and I am so excited to be joined by Alex Phillips, who is the writer and director of Anything That Moves, which is going to be premiering at Fantasia Festival on July 25th. Alex, you're also the writer and director of a film I just watched, which is All Jacked Up and Full of Worms. I got
Sweet.
this from a TerraVision Blind Buy box set, or like three movies they're put together. This was the best of the three by a long shot.
Hell yeah.
And I think I put in my letterbox review, even if I don't like it, I'm going to continue watching whatever this filmmaker does. So here we are. Nice to
Hello.
meet you,
Awesome.
Alex.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, I'm glad you dug it. Yeah.
I did. Um, and I watched Anything That Moves yesterday, and I gotta say, what a strange, interesting, beautiful, tender movie it is. And I think it's so much of what I enjoyed about All Jacked Up and Full of Worms is that you can't really pin it in a specific genre or like a specific, like, you don't really know what it's coming from. So I want to hear from you.
Sure.
Where did the idea from Anything That Moves come from?
Um, well, very literally it came from like the seed of the idea came from me working as a bike delivery guy when I was, 22 to 24 around there, delivering food. And just running into strange people who oftentimes they were shut-ins, oftentimes they propositioned me. It was just like a different range of clientele. And yeah, I was in a strange place in my life at the time as well. And I think that kind of heightened the entire thing. And I kind of wanted to capture poetically and metaphorically that feeling, not necessarily they play with realism, but like play with how it felt. And also just how like being open and loving in a inhospitable world feels. That's kind of what I was going for.
I mean, it definitely feels like it's almost everyone that is more free to express their love in this movie is somewhat the target of some ire, and does deal a lot with kind of people's, people's carry around their own, I guess, judgments and secrets. And I think one of the most interesting things about this is that all the characters, like, there's no binary characters here in the sense that you kind of know exactly where they stand, because where they stand, what they care about, who they even love changes as you get to understand them better. But when you think about this in relation to All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, they are almost kind of thematically opposite, but almost sentimentally the same. Um, and I'm curious to understand a little bit more about a theme that you can tell me if I'm just making shit up or not. But
Sure.
it seems like a lot of both of your films deal with putting ordinary people in these almost extraordinary circumstances. In some cases that are quite literally out of this world. In other cases are more just kind of so strange that you almost can't believe it. Is that a good read? And if not, is there something that I'm missing, or something else you wanted to put across?
I would sort of expand on that and say that I want the characters to feel like authentic and lived in despite the heightened situations, which is, I think, more of like a nuts and bolts way of saying what you're experiencing, you know? Like I'm thinking about how to make it where it's like, oh, I need you guys to really believe and live these characters so that all your choices resonate with the audience and like all your relationships do. Um, but yeah, I do think that Liam in this film is not quite ordinary. He's got a couple things that make him special. Um, the way that he makes people feel is so special and so fantastical that he's then the target of a serial killer. So in that way, it's a little bit different, but I do want him to feel like a real person and behave like one. Um, so yeah, I'd say that you're right about that. I am curious what you mean by thematically opposite. What do you see as opposite themes?
So I when I watch All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, I see the emphasis being on kind of the psycho not psychological, hallucinogenic experience almost of like how it's kind of a divorcing from reality that these people are seeking, and they go to these worms to find it. Whereas in this one, like there is this sense of the same sense of loneliness and kind of disconnection, but Liam also has a partner that he's very close to, and he seems to be kind of not in the, even though his situation in life is not as dire as, and I forget the name of the character in All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, but he does have some semblance of hope that, is just eroded by the world, like things that are happening to him, as opposed to him just being in a space where things are consistently bad and getting worse.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I understand where you're coming from with that. Yeah. Yeah, maybe anything that moves is more life affirming. I'm not sure, but yeah.
I mean, there is, as I mentioned although before, there is a tenderness to it, and I think that that's something that isn't it's not the same in All Jacked Up and Full of Worms, and that you care for these characters, but you care for them because you feel for them. Whereas here, you see some genuine relationships evolve. Um, when you came to casting these roles, and I think the way the characters that people you pick to play them shows a lot about how they show up on screen. What were you looking for explicitly in the characters of Liam? And I'm drawing a blank on his partner's name, but
Thea.
uh, yeah, yeah, yeah. What were you looking for explicitly when you were casting those roles?
Well, so Hal Baum, who plays Liam, I had been wanting to work with him ever since I worked with him on a short film of mine called Who's a Good Boy? And I just really think that he brings a lot of tenderness and empathy to his life. He's like a singer songwriter in his own work, and you can just sort of see it in his eyes, just the way that he relates to people. And he brings like a real gravity, just grounded empathy, not sympathy to the character. And I just knew he could do it, and I just wanted to put a wig on him, and I thought that this is you'll be a heartthrob. Um, and then with Thea, Gianna she works in theater here in Chicago, and I knew that she would just be like a fantastic collaborator, and she brings like a very complex, like approach to the character, one where she like really wants, she has this sort of tenderness and kindness to it, but then also like has also in the eyes is she's like more complicated. There's like a darkness there. So I just thought that they would bring combined, they would really understand each other and be careful with each other. 'Cause, I think the empathy and the tenderness between them is important to the most important relationship in the film. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It was really fun doing like rehearsals with them. It was like immediately I was like, oh, this is working. Just I shot that bathtub scene on my phone just with them in Gianna's bathtub in her apartment, and it was just like, oh, you guys are like playing and like comfortable, and it's really working.
It's funny you mentioned the bathtub scene because that was the scene in my head of like that's the one where the connection feels like it happens a little early in the film, but still, that's the moment I think that sets the tone that these two relationship they have is that it's a kind of mutually supportive relationship, that they both kind of come in it from there's the same lived experiences, but obviously some variance, but they can come together after these really difficult, sometimes not days, and kind of commiserate and enjoy each other, and it's there's a sweetness to it. I don't know, but you also have two adult film stars that are in here, like Nina Hartley, and Ginger Lynn Allen. Was it always intentional to try and bring them on board, or was it just more of kind of opportunity, you got to meet them and ask the question?
I think it wasn't always intended, but when the decision was made, like when I realized I could reach them, I was like, this is better than how I originally came up with it when I was writing the script. And then also having them on set was just incredible. So it was like a real win to be able to get them, and then also having them on set, it was a total surprise. I don't know what to expect, but they both are like have this star power. There's a reason they were so popular, when they were making their adult films. They can really like hold your attention, and they command, so much of the lens, when they're there. Um, yeah, I don't know. They both bring a sort of polar opposite energy too, where like you have Nina has this like sort of powerful command over the van that she's in, whereas Ginger is, you know, so nurturing, you know, and trying to like sort of basically like hold up Liam and say you're, you know, you're such a beautiful boy, you know, you bring so much to this world. So. I don't know. It was an honor to work with them, and I thought they were fantastic.
I mean, it was the two roles are outstanding. I mean, particularly with Ginger, just I just keep remembering the little bit of mayonnaise that was left on her face. You know, it's so real. And then seeing Nina Hartley just kind of be this kind of power, like just that scene in the van is, um, it's great. It's like it's just a really fun, kind of interesting and a little weird. But you know, at no point does it ever feel like it's over the top. It feels still kind of grounded in this reality. And you know, part of it I think also is because of the choice to use 16 millimeter film. It adds a kind of a layer of grittiness that's authentic to the film. I mean, was that always the choice is to make this in 60 millimeter, or is that kind of just, you know, what you had available and what made sense?
No, I mean, you shooting on film is never is. I mean, I wouldn't say never, but it has to be a choice. You know,
Yeah.
you have to commit to doing it. It also, you need. I couldn't have done it without Vinegar Syndrome that partnering with them. So they brought the film stock and the post processing and the lab work. So. Um, yeah, I mean that was part of the deal at even when writing the script. But like you said, it brings this texture, and you know it kind of like heightens sweat. You can sort of feel like you can smell it. You know, you really this the grit is you know is really there, and that's I mean, it was awesome to shoot on it. It like made all the lighting choices gel together. Yeah, it was fun to run and gun with. And it also like all my references, like every movie that I've ever loved seems to have been shot on film. So to be able to do it authentically, like all Jacked Up and Full of Worms, we were going for a film look, and for this, we were able to do the real thing. So it felt great. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the nightclub scene in particular is a scene that I could just almost taste in the back of my teeth. It's just, I've been in a nightclub like that before, and I've been in a bathroom, albeit not with what's actually in this bathroom, but I've been in one as scuzzy, so you can
Yeah.
almost feel the precipitation. And my last question I love to ask, but I often it can be a little difficult, is if you were asked to program a double feature with anything that moves, what do you think would make a good companion?
Ooh. Let me think. What kind of theater are we working in?
Uh, it's not an AMC, but it's not a 42nd Street, so it's kind of somewhere in the middle, local neighborhood
Okay.
theater.
Okay. I would say maybe cruising would be good.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Yeah, I think
I'd
it'd
watch the
be.
shit out of that. But there's I think cruising would be so much fun with this. And there was another one just at the top of my head, but almost like something like Henenlotter would go well in here as well. Just to go to give like the bad biology would be almost an interesting like
Oh, I
this is
love
what that
that
would be
biology.
on if you would put this on an acid and steroids, then you'd have bad biology via anything that moves.
Oh
But
yeah, I would love that. There's a Verhoeven too that I was trying to think of. Oh man, what the hell is it called? Um,
is it a recent one?
no, it's not. I'm looking at my DVDs right now. I have it over there somewhere. Um, no, the second we hang up on this, I'll remember what it's called.
Yeah, it'll
Um,
happen like 2 in the morning. You'll think of it.
yeah,
Well, Alex, I just want to say congratulations on your second feature.
thank you. Oh,
And
it's The Fourth Man. That's what it is.
the fourth
Fourth,
man, okay.
that's a great one.
Oh, great choice. I mean, you can't go wrong with Verhoeven either. So, you know, this has been an outstanding conversation. You know, excited for your premiere on the 25th. We'll have a review out shortly after. And as I said in my review, it still stands. I will continue to watch everything you put out because there's nothing else like it. So continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
It's a pleasure.